You guys, it is confirmed. The Gorsei are immortal. Or should I say, they're immortal until they're not, because Imu ended up killing Saturn in this chapter. So, welcome in, guys, to One Piece, chapter 1125, full spoilers. My name is Sai, and I'm gonna assume that you've already read the spoilers, and we're just here to talk about them. So, first things first. He's still alive. And no, I'm not talking about Saturn, I'm talking about my man, Vice Admiral Doberman. So, Doberman, rightfully asked Saturn in this chapter, hey, buddy, that message that Vegapunk broadcasted, it's not true, right? He's lying, right? And Saturn, without giving this man a concrete answer, blows him up. He explodes his head, which is kind of crazy, considering the fact that at the start of Saturn's arrival here on Agate Island, they announced that if you're below Vice Admiral tier, you can't look at him. And we thought that was because if you look at him, your head explodes. But no, it looks like Saturn just doesn't allow lesser people to look at him. It's not like a hockey thing where, if you're below a certain tier, you pass out. No. Saturn just picks and chooses who can actually look at him. So that is defined in this chapter, but what isn't definite is whether or not Doberman is alive, because the med team, the Vice Admirals are waking up the med team, they're on their way to save Doberman. I think he has a good chance at living. And here's the thing too, this is one of the worst things that Saturn could have done, right? Because by not answering Doberman's question and by just straight up blowing his head off, it pretty much confirms their suspicions. Vegapunk's message is true. Saturn didn't have to say anything. By blowing the head up, that's an answer in and of itself. And the thing is that 8 other Vice Admirals were encircling Saturn and they saw this interaction. So what's gonna happen? These Marines go back home, and if Doberman dies or survives, they're like, hey, by the way, what you heard on the radio, that's true. Saturn actually killed our good friend Doberman, right? Hey, you remember Doberman, the guy who walks down the hallway and, he mentors class every Tuesday night? Yeah, he's dead. Saturn killed that guy. So, yeah, I do think this is bad PR from the world government as per usual. And I wouldn't be surprised if this starts, drawing a rift in between the VAs and Saturn, or maybe even the entire world government. Because at the end of the day, they're fighting for two different things. The Marines still want to fight for people. They just work for the world government, right? Once they realize the world government is trying to kill humanity and sink the world, I do think that they're going to start separating little by little. And this could be the first instance of that. Well, it is the first instance of that, right? Doberman was curious, Saturn kills him. So yeah, it's some crazy times we're living in, and I just really hope Doberman survives, because he is a cool Vice Admiral. We've seen no feats from this guy. We don't know how he fights. We don't know anything about him. We saw him at Marineford. We thought he was going to do something there. We didn't see it. And then he came to Agate Island. We thought he was going to do something. He didn't do anything. And it's like, yo, Doberman at some point, one feat, one attack, something. Oda, please don't kill this man. T-Bone. T-Bone died in this final saga, but the thing with T-Bone is that we at least saw him try to fight Zoro back in the past, and that was something, right? Doberman, we have nothing. In One Piece Film Z, Doberman was the character that gave us one of the best scenes in the movie. Zephyr was dying, Kizaru was killing him, and Doberman shed a tear. This hard-ass guy just started shedding tears. I was like, I want to know more about this guy. He can't be dead. Yeah, maybe it's Cope, but hey, the med team is on the way. VAs are here. I want to believe in them. But now, you guys, it's time to talk about somebody who is not going to survive this chapter. 100% not going to survive, and that is Saturn. So Saturn, throughout this entire arc, has fumbled massively, right? From Bonnie to Luffy escaping to Punk Records even escapes in this chapter, right? A lot of bad things happen to Saturn. But we add on one additional sin to his bucket list. Oda said, hey, Saturn, let's give him one more L. Saturn was the guy 200 years ago that ordered a random group, maybe not a random group, but he ordered a group of scientists to dispose of Emeth. That was him. It is confirmed that Saturn was around 200 years ago. So yeah, this guy's immortal. Humans do not live that long. And Imu can revoke it at any given point in time. Imu sends down black flames, black lightning, and all that shebang, and he kills Saint Saturn on the spot. And the coolest part is that Imu can actually talk to Saturn throughout this, which is something we kind of expected, right? If the Gorsei can chat via, telepathy or whatever it's called. Yeah, it's telepathy. Yeah. I always get telepathy and telekinesis confused sometimes, but yeah, telepathy. Imu uses telepathy, talks to Saturn, and says, Saturn, why did you let Joy Boy escape? You know, like, why did you do this? And not just that, right? Not only did he let Luffy escape, but in this chapter, in the spoilers, he also tells the Vice Admirals that they don't have to chase Luffy. They're like, hey, you know, we can chase Mugiwara to Elbaf. And Saturn says, oh, no, like, it's fine, dude. Like, we got what we wanted, right? We got York, Punk Record. They lost Punk Records. You know, we got York, Punk Records for a little bit. You know, we got the Mother Flame. It's no big deal. Imu wasn't having it, dude. Imu, he's having none of this. Saturn has just fumbled time and time again. He doesn't have ambition. He wasn't after Luffy. And yeah, Imu just struck him down. Imu struck him down and promoted Garling. And the thing is, right, we knew, you know, based off of yesterday's spoilers, that Garling got promoted. But what we didn't know is that Garling walks into that room and the man puts his feet up. He slaps his meat down on the table. My God, he informally addresses the Gorosei, which is, you know, like, when it comes to informality, it's always interesting to see in One Piece because it's always so in your face with certain characters. Like Akainu, for example. Akainu walked into the room of authority, the Gorosei room, and he was very informal. He was throwing words at them, he was yelling at them, and based on the way the full spoilers describe it, Garland kind of does the same thing. He doesn't really respect the other elders. And it's like, damn, dude, that's kind of crazy. And you know, based off of yesterday's spoilers, I have seen some people say that Garling, you know, they're afraid Garling is the, quote, weakest Gorosei, and the Gorosei already don't look that strong in general. But since Garling is kind of disrespecting the other elders, you know, what does that say about him? Is he either just one, super cocky, or two, is he just the strongest guy in the room, right? Like, I think both can be true too. And man, what a wild thing to witness. Also, shout out to York. It looks like York will actually survive throughout all of this, right? Because Garling says in this chapter that he is going to be the one who starts taking care of York. And also, we do get confirmation in this chapter that even though Punk Records is flying away with the ultimate Vegapunk, that York will still have access to it no matter where it is in the world. And with that tidbit of information, we also pretty much can confirm that Lilith also has unfiltered access as well. So yeah, as long as Punk Records exists, all the Vegapunks can function at full capacity. It's just that, you know, they're missing resources and funding, which is like the main problem. Oh yeah, one more thing about the Gorosei though that I thought was kind of funny, but when Garling walks into the room, all of the Gorosei, like, they're shocked by this, man. Like, they did not expect to lose Saint Saturn. Like, they seemed really distraught, right? Like, Marcus Mars was like, wait, it can't be. You know, Warkudi and Nasujiro, they're like, huh, what's going on? And then the minute Garling said he received a letter, they all knew. They all knew they just lost the Nakama. That's gotta be rough, right? Just seeing somebody who's been around for so long just get executed so, not even unceremoniously, but like, he couldn't even defend himself. Like, Saturn couldn't say, oh, like, I'll go after him, or, oh, Imu, one more chance. No, dude, Imu just said it. You're done. I'm cutting you off, brother. You're gone. But yeah, I want to see what happens now, like Garling, right? Will he get a transformation? Has he always had a transformation? Will he join the Gorosei group chat, right? Is he going to get some telepathy powers or have the Holy Knights? And Garling always had these powers. I think that's going to be the main thing to worry about now. Like, what powers can we expect from all of these guys? And if Garling, you know, if he is the strongest Gorosei member as of now, what does that say about the Holy Knights, right? The way I'm seeing it right now is that the Gorosei are definitely the older generation, right? Saturn's been around for so long. So it's like, yeah, maybe the Holy Knights and Garling, they're the new crop. They're, quote, younger than the rest of them, so they're going to be a lot stronger. All right, so the next thing we learn in this chapter is that the Mega Vegapunk, the Atlas, Shaka, Pythagoras, and Edison body, it's now on its way to Hardis at Witheria, which I think makes a lot of sense, right? If you want to hide Punk Records from the world, you should probably hide it in the sky. You know, hide it in a place where people can't easily access it. So yeah, it looks like they're going over there, but the main problem with the Cloud Loft and Vegapunk building new technology is the fact that they don't have funding or resources. I wonder if Hardis can provide all of that. We know that Witheria makes their money by selling rain to poor islands, so like, yeah, they could have the money for Vegapunk, and they could have the resources since they are a Sky Island and they're filled with scientists, but I don't know if they'll be able to keep up with them. like, Wet Area is still, like, a really small city. So I'm surprised they're not going to Dragon. You know, I feel like Dragon could do all of that right now. Like, they have the money, they have the people. So I'm really just curious to see how this is all gonna plan out. I mean, there even exists a scenario, right? Like, because this isn't mutually exclusive either, but he could go to Hardis and then go to Dragon. Like, it could be a 2-in-1 deal even. But yeah, Dragon, you know, we see him at the end of the chapter, and he's talking about how they need to wrap up this war quickly. So based on the brief spoilers, Dragon made it sound like he was going to partake in the war for safe places. Turns out that's not the case. Dragon instead wants to end the world government war as soon as possible so that the civilians don't have to fight for safe places, right? A little bit of nuance there. So yeah, Dragon is more pressed than ever to make a move against the WG, which, I gotta say right here, but Dragon's strategy at the Reverie of destroying the food supply is paying off, because that does get brought up in this chapter. The Tenryubito, the Celestial Dragons, are panicking because they have no food up on top of the red line. So they will have to make their move sooner than later, and with the way things are going now, I wouldn't be shocked if next chapter we do see the Holy Knights in action. I mean, we got the rise of Garling for Garland, you know, they're talking about how the Celestial Dragons need to secure food and that the Holy Knights are going to be deployed. I think next chapter is going to be a Holy Knight chapter. I've been saying that time and time again. I'm like a guy looking in the closet for the boogeyman, but I do think we will see them next chapter. I think Oda's going to start revealing these guys, and then, hey, even in the anime, Toei decided to put out more distinguished silhouettes of those guys as well. So it looks like they might even have their designs finalized by this point. But yeah, that right there is going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this chapter as much as I do. I mean, we got a little bit of everything, man. The 9 VAs, we got Lucci, Yamato's cover page story is making some progress, right? Because she's made it to the next castle, and then Minatomo, who's the carpenter, is missing. I don't know what's going on with that. You know, we got some Dragon here, you know, saying he's going to finally make a move for like the 10th time. We got Garling's promotion, Saturn's death, and then we got some Vegapunk greatness. I thought this chapter was phenomenal across the board, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. What are your theories coming off of these spoilers? Have the full spoilers changed your perception on the brief spoilers? I would love to hear any and all of those thoughts down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next couple of days where I'll talk about some of your comments as well. So if you comment down below, maybe we'll feature it in the next video. But with that being said, peace out, guys. Goodbye.